Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my workshop, How to Break into Corporate and Nonprofit Boards. I hope everyone has been enjoying the sessions thus far today at Sisters in Sales 2021 Virtual Summit. I'm super excited to virtually or e-meet you all and to get into a little discussion today. I'll be sharing my slides in about 3 minutes, so I want everybody to be able to settle in. But the first question I kind of want to throw out there to everyone while we're kind of waiting for everyone to trickle in from the stage is, why do you want to join a board? Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I'm Natalia Walker. I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit organization called Seeds of Fortune, Inc. And I'll get into a little bit more about the organization, how we came to be, but excited to drop these gems for you today and talk about how you can start to transition and position yourself to be a part of a corporate or a nonprofit board. So just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I'm Natalia Walker. I am the founder and executive director of Seeds of Fortune, Inc., as I mentioned before. And what is Seeds of Fortune, Inc.? We are a nonprofit scholars and edtech platform creating the next generation of financially empowered young women of color. We really believe that by helping them to have affordable college access, teach them career and financial management skills, that we can really change the economic future of young women across the country. So excited to share our mission with you today, but then also to put you on about how you can start thinking about positioning yourself for corporate boards as well as nonprofit boards. Corporate and nonprofit boards are a little bit different, so they have different functionalities and expectations that are met with them, but we're going to go through a few of them today. And then once I get out of share screen mode, I'm excited to be able to take any questions that you all may have. And then we're also looking for amazing board members or advisory board members as well. That helps the engine of our organization grow. So if you're interested in empowering young women of color, please feel free to hit me up or shout me out. So how to break into corporate and nonprofit boards. So I asked the question earlier, why do you want to be on a board? And there's about 3 fundamental kind of shifts that are happening in corporate and nonprofit communities when it comes to boards. We know a lot has taken place with Black Lives Matter last year, the pandemic, and diversity on corporate boards particularly remained very low. And the good news is that it's on the rise, and they're looking for women like you as you grow and cultivate into your career. And really what it comes down to it, especially since we're at Sisters in Sales Summit, is a lot of the business decisions of the future, they need new perspectives, they need new insights, and it's forcing leaderships of the past to have to rethink what their boards look like. Also, there has been a lot of intentionality towards diversity of boards and holding boards accountable to making sure that there's equal representation across the board when it comes to the future insights of their corporations, brands, and nonprofit organizations. Now, on the corporate side of a board, some people ask me, what are some of the benefits of joining a board? Usually, a corporate board typically are recruiting people that are in the C-suite level. They have gotten to a certain tenure in their career that they can give advice and strategic direction back to a corporation or organization. And with that strategic insight, you get compensation, which is great. And it can range from 6 to 7 figures, stock awards, extra payments, and meeting attendance and committee service. Then on the other side, right, it's almost, I would call it a mini MBA, right? Because the challenges that corporations have to face to remain competitive, to remain on the cutting edge, to be able to service their clients and continue to gain and provide profits to their shareholders, you're going to learn so much in a 1-year tenure on a corporate board that the knowledge, experience, and decision-making and strategic decisions that you have to help make will help you to grow immensely in your career. And then someone in the chat said, growing your network, right? So when boards are picked, interviewed, and decided, these are some of the most strategic thinking minds in their industries across the board. So those are some of the benefits or things that are happening in the board space. For nonprofit boards, it's a little different, right? It's more about a mission that you align with, that you care about a cause. And some of the requirements and obligations are going to be slightly different than a corporate board. So, one, if you are thinking about being a part of a board, it's important to understand what the responsibilities of a board are. I'm going to start with nonprofit boards because that is my field of expertise, but really across the board, corporate boards also have some of the similar responsibilities. So, it is to help an organization determine its mission and purpose if you're part of a startup nonprofit, or it is helping them to maintain and make sure they align all strategic values with the mission and purpose of the organization. It is to select the chief executive officer of an organization. You are managing the CEO of a company or a nonprofit. Support and evaluate this chief executive officer. So, what does that really mean? We're going to get a little bit into it, right? So, you need to have at least a level of expertise and value that you can bring to whatever organization or corporation to be able to evaluate someone at the C-suite level if they are bringing the type of growth to the corporate or nonprofit company that you are looking to serve. Ensure effective planning, monitor and strengthen programs and services, ensure adequate financial resources. So making sure if it's a corporate board that the company is remaining in good financial standing, that revenues are growing, that they're able to give back to their shareholders. If it's owned by a private equity company, that the goals of the private equity company that they've invested in the company are being met. For nonprofits, it's fundraising, making sure that they have been able to raise as much money that they need to run their programming and operational costs. Number 7 is protect assets and provide financial oversight. So pretty similar to 6. 8 is build a competent board, right? So you're gonna make sure that all members on the board are bringing a value, and they're usually called directors. Ensure legal and ethical integrity. And this goes into the mix of all the different players that are on the board. So you can come with a lot of different levels of expertise when you're on the board, but typically it's made up of business professionals, somebody that has legal insight, someone that is a major player in that field of whatever corporation or nonprofit it is. And then enhance the organization's public standing, right? So you are the ambassador of this organization or corporation that you are working to enhance and make sure the operations of it is running smoothly and sustainably. So what are the skill sets you need? So boards have an ideal mix, right? They're looking for people with various backgrounds, right? Professional experiences, demographics, characteristics, and what are you contributing, right, to prepare to move things forward in the organization, as well as board match programs, right? So some of these match programs can help you really be able to gain the skill sets that you'll need to be in consideration for boards. And we'll get a little bit into like what those strategies look like. Some of the high level examples that I'm going to provide to you are Echoing Green. It is a foundation that helps entrepreneurs to be able to scale their ventures. They have a board match program where after the entrepreneurs are completed, they select people in corporate America to be able to help them enhance their mission as board professionals. Uplifting those in the sector, being in the right rooms, right? So today you're at the Sisters in Sales Summit. This is one of the rooms you're going to be in because you never know at any of the virtual networking events who you're going to meet, who's going to see what you're doing. And then what do you have that a board would want and be visible in those places, right? So we all each individually bring skill sets from our jobs, from our personal lives, from our personal experiences, from our social capital that can be of interest to nonprofit and corporate boards. Board performance. So if you do decide that you do want to go for a board position, right, you're going to be evaluated, right? So you want to make sure you're ripe and ready for the time in your career to be in consideration for a board. And that's why it's great to kind of start off being a part of nonprofit boards, because as a member of a nonprofit board, you are really able to, as a member of a nonprofit board, you are really able to learn a lot of the fundamentals that you would need to be in consideration for a corporate board. Additionally, on a corporate board, once you reach like VP, SVP level, C-suite level, corporations have a restriction on how many corporate boards you can actually be a part of unless you are retired from that career field. So they usually don't have caps on nonprofit boards. So some of the things as a board member that you can start to build up the skill sets of is being evaluated for your board performance. So that's fundraising. One, you're going to be evaluated on fundraising, or if it's especially for nonprofits, they live and breathe by their revenue models. So if you're able to help them create earned revenue models, donation tiers, et cetera, each year the board is evaluating all the different members to make sure that they're bringing value and that they're adding value to it. Also, 1 hour preliminary sessions with occasional guest speakers to engage the board in discussions and key trends, right? So inside of the board organization, what are you bringing value to your fellow board members, right? Because as someone said in the chat box, you're looking to make sure that you're growing your network. So you want to be challenged. You want to be making sure that you're solving problems and solutions, but you're also growing at the same time. And then new developments in the organization's field of interest, board self-assessment activities. So typically what happens is that they'll give like a self-assessment form to see how you've been performing as a board member, but then also making sure you're keeping yourself sharp in the field that you have selected to be in the nonprofit space to support or in your corporate career. Term limits. Let's talk about term limits. So, boards are not dictators, right? So there has to be term limits similar to our political system. And every nonprofit or corporation has different term limits that board members can be a part of. Typically, a board seat is not changed up around every 2 years or so, just so that the first year you're usually kind of getting your feet wet. And then the second year, you are really executing and performing on what was strategically planned. After the second year, they have the ability to renew your seat on the board, but typically they like to bring in some new fresh blood to make sure that ideas and things are always being innovative. So the time that you're on the board, you want to be able to maximize the opportunities for the nonprofit that you might want to serve. And then also, if you're selected for a corporate board position, how you help the organization or the corporation to be able to grow in that extended amount of time. And that really helps you to also be able to get on other corporate boards as you're moving through the industry. Public standing. So you, as I mentioned before, if you decide that becoming a board member is something that you're interested and you want to be a part of, public standing is going to be a really important part of your role because you are the ambassador, as I mentioned before. So enhancing the organization's public standing, clearly articulating achievements presented in comprehensive annual reports and informative press releases, contributions to the public good communicated to community and government leaders, explanations on how gifts and grants and other revenue sources are accounted for and allocated, and then speeches by board members to civic and community groups. So this is going to help you a lot with your visibility in terms of creating and elevating your profile in whatever sector that you have decided that you want to be in, but then also knowing that you have this responsibility to enhance the profile of the corporation or nonprofit that you are part of as well. So it becomes a really great symbiotic relationship that you're building. So a big question is, how do you get considered for these boards or board positions? I have the 5-step process. So one is promoting yourself, and I'll talk about how you can promote yourself. Nurturing relationships that you have and putting it out there that you do want to join a nonprofit board. Typically at mid-level management, a nonprofit board is definitely the best place to start because you're still building up experience and momentum. Also, you can be a part of startups. If you're going more the corporate or for-profit route, it's great to be on the board of startups because with there, you can really get a on the hands ground feeling of what it would be like to be a part of a multi-million-dollar corporation board. Also make you look more attractive and bring out that visibility that we're talking about, promoting yourself, that you do have the potential to help in your latter career transition into a corporate board. Develop a specialty, right? Are you known for what, right? When people start to know you for something that you bring this specific talent to the table, they will start to seek you out and want to interview you to be in service on a board. Joining organizations such as Sisters in Sales, other professional organizations, other philanthropic organizations that can help you put you strategically in the room, one, to help your career, but then two, to start to put you in positions to be considered for board or advisory board positions. And then, of course, seeking out the right opportunities, right? So this can be a great time, especially after you finish the summit, to start to evaluate, where do my passions lie? Like outside of my 9 to 5 job, where else could I be adding value? And where could what I've built up in my skill set really be of value to an organization, startup, nonprofit that I can give my time to? And then making sure it's aligned with your brand, your future brand self, that it's the right opportunity for you. So I just took like a sample here of someone that has put on their LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is an amazing way to start to gain that visibility that you want to be considered for nonprofit or corporate board. Usually not corporate board decisions, because you're usually invited to be a part of a corporate board or sought out in some type of vetting process for that. But particularly nonprofits, startups, this is a great way to start to advertise yourself. So as you can see here, Gigi, I don't know Gigi, but I thought her LinkedIn profile was great. She put, reach out to Gigi for mentoring, getting coffee, joining a nonprofit board. So you can change your LinkedIn so that it can show that you're interested in joining a board. And usually founders such as myself or executive directors, we will scan certain industries that are aligned with our mission or organization and start to seek out people that are interested in being a part of nonprofit boards. What attracted me to Gigi's profile was she clearly stated her corporation that she worked for, what she's interested in, sustainability solutions. So if you're into sustainability, if my nonprofit was about a green initiative, this would align really well. And then she has One Young World Ambassador. So that is a global organization that is all about promoting youth and making sure that they are the change makers of the future. So I know we have a couple of alignment points that make sense. And then the location area, right? So if I was a nonprofit that was doing green sustainability in Chile, that would be something of interest to me. Also alma maters, right? So I can see she went to the University of Arizona. There's a lot of different things that you can pull out in your LinkedIn profile to start to attract organizations to consider you from board consideration. Another more traditional way that you can be considered for boards, if this is something that is of interest to you after this conversation today, is the board match. So there is companies that actually match professionals to be placed on nonprofit and corporate boards. And they have a meet and greet speed dating kind of situation that happens, kind of like a job fair for boards, that allows you to be able to present your skill sets, what you can bring to the table. And then they try to match you with nonprofits and corporations or startups that are looking for the skill sets that you may be able to bring to the table. So I'm going to get out of share screen mode. And I'm going to take any questions that you have. Oh, yeah. So, Sandra, in terms of corporate board opportunities, the board match is going to be great depending on which tenure in your career that you're a part of. As I mentioned before, starting with startups, if you're like more mid-level in your career, going into upper level, transitioning into upper level management, startups, nonprofits can be a great place to start because it heightens your visibility to be able to be considered for corporate board opportunities. And then when you go to something like a board match event and present your credentials, they'll know that you've had experience being on boards before. Typically corporations like people that have had 15, 20 years experience within their field set, but sometimes gaining smaller board experiences can also cultivate that and allow you to be able to transition to boards. In the past, United Way has a training program for people seeking to sit on nonprofit boards. Are there any entities that offer additional credentials that make you more attractive to nonprofits? Yes. So that organization that I mentioned to you before, Echo and Green, they also have a training program that allows you to train to start to be on nonprofit boards. And then because they have their incubator of nonprofits that have reached a certain level, they help with the match part of it as well. Amazing. Thank you, Kimberly. Any other questions in terms of board responsibilities? What will be expected of you if you were to be on a nonprofit board? How to start vetting nonprofits that you feel like you would want to be a part of, or corporate boards that you would want to be in consideration for? Oh, Ariel, thank you. Ariel's one of our coaches, our writing coaches at Seeds of Fortune, my nonprofit organization. So we really love her. She's at Google now, and we met at Google like 2.5 years ago. So the power of networking and expanding your network, and I'm super proud of her as well. My favorite part about working with my board members is to see their growth trajectory. So somebody mentioned before that they wanted to be on a nonprofit board to grow their network, and just seeing the board members be able to network with each other, be able to grow, push the organization forward. I think in the last 2 years, our nonprofit has grown exponentially in terms of revenues by at least tenfold. The strategy meetings that we have each quarter, I feel like every time that we have a meeting, that the advisory board themselves have grown in their own careers. People have changed jobs, and we have one person that went from travelers working as a lawyer to now a civil court judge. As you know, Chantel, she worked at LinkedIn. She's now at Twitter. So it's always like, it feels like an ever-ending expansion of just women of color, particularly on our board, just doing amazing things, but then also being to uplift the next generation, and then providing their expertise and strategies, and just seeing how sharp they are and how they sharpen the skill sets and what they bring to the organization, I think is really inspiring and empowering. Yes, Lauren, please feel free to reach out to me. We love junior boards. We also had a junior board at one point in time. It's great, especially for those that are just coming up into mid-level management, to be able to stretch their skill sets in junior boards. A lot of the big nonprofit organizations have a junior board. It's a great networking opportunity to be able to cross-network with your peers, especially if the nonprofit's in a particular industry that's extended out into what you also work in, but then also to be able to have access to senior level executives who are actually on the board, because they typically have some type of cross mentor and exchange with the junior board and the actual advisory or board of directors. Okay, so do boards have specific positions to denote the expertise of the members? Yes. So boards do have different committees, I would say, or board responsibilities that you have to that they divide the boards into for governance purposes, as well as effectiveness, to be able to hone in on a skill set that you can bring to the table. And this typically is vetted out in your interview process. Most boards have an interview process. If it doesn't, I'll be like, what is going on here? So when you're in your interview process, they'll start to sift out what value they think that you can bring to their organization, and then typically recommend a committee for you to be able to be hosted on in that board. Okay, so Lauren is looking for new board members, junior board members. So feel free to network with Lauren as well for Perfect Inc. I love the mission that they're empowering formerly incarcerated women to achieve success as they transition back into their community. Lauren, congratulations for sitting on a board and giving back in that way. Also, something that I didn't mention during the presentation that's different from a corporate board and a nonprofit board is that corporate board, because of your years of expertise, what you bring to the table, they sometimes will pay you to be on that board, depending on what corporation it is. For a nonprofit, it's a little different. They usually have some type of financial expectations that they intend for you to meet. So depending on the nonprofit, it can go from $250 all the way to $10,000 or $50,000, $60,000 a year, depending on what level that they're at in their tenure as a nonprofit organization, for you to contribute back. So that's something that you want to take into consideration when you're thinking about joining a nonprofit board, or they will have some type of commitment level that you need to meet. So maybe your fee is small, but each member needs to bring in at least 5,000 or 10,000 in kind and cash donations or corporate sponsorships to be able to allow the nonprofit to be able to effectively run. Typically at the junior board level, you don't have as much of a financial obligation. It's more of median place for them to work on corporate engagement and things, employee resource groups and things of that nature. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're thinking about corporate and nonprofit boards. If you're looking for more corporate strategic direction and you really want to be on a corporate board, I would say that joining a small startup will probably be a great place for you to start as an advisory board member. Because you'll be able to learn a lot on the ground, what a corporate board is really looking for and the things that you would need to bring to the table to join a corporate board. Oh, perfect. Yes, Lauren. Yes, I am happy to walk you through a day of working with a nonprofit. So, in terms of working with a nonprofit organization, how we have our setup at Seeds of Fortune Inc. is everyone is kind of sparse into their specialty of expertise. So, because we work with a student population, we have someone that has years of experience in engagement with students, how to cultivate them, how to keep them engaged, how to work with parents. But then we also have sales. So Chantel is a part of our strategic sales vision. And our business model is that we charge colleges to fund our platform so that we can keep the platform free for students. So we provide college and financial literacy prep. The colleges are looking for top talent that they can have to diversify their college campuses. So we work predominantly with PWIs, which are predominantly white institutions who are looking to find diverse, top talented students to be able to be on their college campus. So we'll have 3 to 4 hour strategy meetings on setting up pitch decks. What is the best way to reach them? How to be able to engage with them? Post sales, right? Because a lot of people think that nonprofit means like no money, right? No, it is not no profit, right? So we have to really be thinking strategically about how we're going to sustain the organization and sustain our missions for years to come. We also have a lawyer because we have a lot of legality things that we have to protect ourselves from. Every corporation, you can hear they're always getting sued. Nonprofits are always under compliance to make sure that the donations and money that is being received is going to exactly where they said it was going to go to. So we have someone that has legal expertise. We have an accountant on our board. The accountant, she helps us to do payroll every month, make sure that our cash flow is staying stable throughout the year. Also putting certain checks and balances on me so that we understand, we make sure that money and things are flowing in the right places for our programming and operational costs. Then we have someone that was an expert in HR, and the person in HR helps me as the executive director know how to manage my team. She also helps to interview any new people in management roles that are coming onto the organization. Because as you know, a nonprofit or a corporation is nothing without its talent. So sometimes when you are the CEO or executive director, you need a second opinion or oversight when you are creating certain values and company goals and things of that nature. So it is a lot of work, but I think that it's work that is definitely worth it. And then as an advisory board member, you grow your network, you grow the challenges, and also you get to see another business and business operations and model and how you can take your 9-to-5 skill sets and be able to transfer that into another industry or sector and really be able to grow your skill sets as well. And then, as I mentioned, last but certainly not least, it's kind of that ambassador kind of role. So we have someone that is on our advisory board that is in the C-suite level so that they're connecting us to other C-suite people as well. That continues to make sure that our organization is in the spotlight and bringing in new donors and supporters throughout the year. Anything else that I didn't cover? Oh, Madonna, I'm so excited for you that you're able to join the Austin Community Foundation, and their mission supports women through scholarships and grants for education, childcare, housing, and more. I'm new to this, but very excited. We're very excited for you as well. It's always a great journey to be able to give back in this way. And I love that the organizations that you're mentioning are so diverse, and there's something that connects you to them. So as you're thinking of the people on the line, as you're thinking about, oh yeah, I'm able to share the slides. Hold on, let me create an open link for everyone. I'll create an open link and then drop it in the chat. If you're thinking about joining a nonprofit board, I think this is a great time, especially as we're coming out of COVID, kind of this post-COVID world that we live in. I think it's a great opportunity to sit down and really think about your values, especially as salespeople. We're going into Q4 pretty soon. At the end of the month, it'll be Q4. And this will be a great time to see where your values align. How have you grown over the last 3 quarters with the skill sets that you've learned and gained? Where do you want to take your career next in the next 1 to 3 years? And then if you do want to join a nonprofit or a startup board, a board of a startup, what skill sets can you bring? And then what value can those organizations bring? And then you can pitch yourself, right? Some people reach out to me on LinkedIn saying that they're looking for opportunities to give back, and this is their credentials and what they can bring. Or you can start to change your LinkedIn profile to show like, I am ready to take on a leadership role as part of a junior board or a board of directors or advisory board member on a nonprofit organization. Okay, I'm opening up the link so that it can be, anyone can access it. And I'm gonna hop in. Perfect. Okay, I shared the link with everyone, so it should be accessible. Please let me know if you're having any troubles accessing it. Okay, just request access. So that means that it's not open then. Hold on, let me change the permissions on it. Okay. I just changed the permissions. Perfect. No worries. I'm all about real-time resources. Oh, there's 2 people that are part of the same organization. I love it. Oh, if anybody in the chat can put organizations or causes that they're thinking about joining boards of, or if they are interested in joining boards, that would be amazing. Just so there might be other people in the room that are already sitting on boards that you might be able to connect with in the group chat today, in the event chat today. But it'll be great to kind of see where people's interest lies. If it's with girls and women empowerment, if it's in tech, it'll be great to know like what people are thinking about in terms of where they want to serve. Oh, I love that. Survival International. Oh, Candace, that's amazing. I love that foster care system. My mom was in the foster care system, so that's a cause that's near and dear to my heart as well. Immigration Services, Sandra, love it. You're on the board of Cool Girls. Cherie, what is Cool Girls? If you can give us a little bit of information about that, that would be great as well. Christina, Black men in Haiti or Black men in the US? Ah, perfect. Love it. So if anyone in the chat has organizations that might be of interest, it'll be great. I always like to like LinkedIn real quick, people that I see in the chat, and like try to connect really quickly before a session's over. I see Gilda's Club of South Florida. Yes, if you put your LinkedIn in the chat, it'll make it easier for people to be able to connect with you afterwards if you are already on a nonprofit board that they might be interested in. Love it. DEI initiatives. Okay, a startup sometime in my career, business development. Love it. children or education across Africa and India. I'm seeing a lot of international. Dinner table doc, I love it. One of my favorites. Asha. Yes, love seeing you too, Sora. Girls in STEM. Giving back to people and animals, environment through sourcing wellness, natural, non-toxic skincare. Love it. Also, if anyone, I know a lot of people in sales tend to transition and create their own startups as well. So this could be a great time too. If you're looking for advisory board members for your own personal startup, amazing. There's just so much good energy in the chat, everyone. Love it. Michelle, DEI, Women and Girls Empowerment, Mental Health. I saw some Uganda Orphanage. Love it. Okay, perfect. Future fellow board members, nonprofit, yes. Amazing. Ladies, this warms my heart. Health and disparities with women's health. Good energy, everyone. This is amazing. I know we only have a few minutes left, but this has truly been a pleasure. If anyone would like to connect with me, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, shoot me a chat. I'm pretty personable. And I'm excited for all of the amazing things that you're going to be able to contribute to future boards for nonprofits, corporations, and startups. And then hopefully you're able to make some connections with one another today to be able to board on other missions and organizations that need your support and help. Beautiful. I see Hair on Purpose. We educate and empower girls in their formative years to make powerful decisions regarding their hair and life journey. Yes. A Black woman's hair is her crown, for sure. Yes, I'm not sure. Is there a way for everyone to be able to chat or listen to attendees inside of the workshops? Oh my goodness. Another Natalia. I am so excited. I can find out. I'm not sure. But I think that's a good question. If there's ability to be able to get attendees contact information from a particular workshop that you've been involved in. Excellent. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat with anyone. Perfect. Okay, love it. Love to see it. Yes, I will try to track that down. That is a good question. I know it's like you have such a good conversation inside the breakout rooms and you're just like, I want to connect with everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. Feel free to stay connected. I'm just going to drop my LinkedIn in the chat as everyone transitions to the next session. Seeking, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name right, but Selena is seeking junior board opportunities as it relates to biz, diversity and inclusion, and sales. So if anyone has any great opportunities, please let her know. I try to bring the good vibes, everyone. You all inspire me. I love it when women in sales get together. Love it. Any last thoughts? You guys are inspiring. I love it. I'm happy to stay back for any questions, any specific questions about boards. I'll be here for the next few minutes. Typically, boards meet depending on the fiscal year every quarter, every trimester, or twice a year. Typically, corporate boards meet like 100, and I saw like it was like an estimate between hours of work, 40 to 120 hours put into work. But I typically truncate it out into quarters for our advisory board and board of directors. So we typically meet quarterly or 3 times a year. And then we have offshoot strategy meetings that can go from 2 to 6 hours, depending on what cycle that we're in. Perfection. Sorry if you hear the train. I'm in New York. Also putting my email address in. It's easier to communicate that way as well. If you have any additional questions when it comes to boards and getting on one, interviewing for one, preparing yourself, or just trying to find right fits for you, feel free to reach out. I'm going to stay on to about 4 o'clock. If there's any additional questions, then I'll transition it back so that you can do some networking. Perfect. All right, I don't see any more questions in the chat box. So I will start to transition to the end of this session. Thank you everyone for attending today. And I look forward to seeing you in the World Wide Web and hopefully as the pandemic calms down in person as well. Have a wonderful afternoon and see you and network with you in other sessions. Bye.